So what we're going to focus on today is symbolic or metaphorical imagery, which when you think about it, isn't that what most of art is anyway? An artist tries to relay a message through their artwork, through symbols and lines, colors, shapes. They're trying to represent something else, to give a message to the viewer. So, um, when I think about it, there's a lot of symbolic imagery and metaphorical imagery in the Bible. Jesus used a lot of it in parables when he explained certain things that made sense to the people of that time. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to look at individual concepts and think about how we might represent those things through images. So, for example, I've written the word love on the board. When we think of love and how to represent what love might look like, you're probably going to think of very common symbols like a heart or the color red. So for this lesson today, I want you to avoid using these kind of well-known symbols that are kind of cliche and go beyond that. Think about how you could represent that word. So one of the first things that you might have to do is just spend a little bit of time thinking about what that word even means. And you might have to journal a little bit. So I'm thinking about the word love and what the definition might mean to me and how I've experienced it. And so I'm just going to write a few words down that just kind of come to mind. Like love feels like warmth and comfort. When I think of people that love me, I know I'm accepted. And I feel a freedom to be myself. Often love is sacrificial. When I love someone else, it usually means that I know them for who they are and I look past their flaws. And I know that when my family loves me, they know who I am, flaws and all, and they love me regardless. So that goes back to freedom and acceptance to be who I am and not afraid of what they might think. So anyway, that's just a general idea of how you can journal out what that word might mean to you. And then after that, you might have to close your eyes for this and just pray. Ask God to show you an experience that you had of that word and ask Him to start bringing images to your mind too of how you might represent that word through a picture. So, looking at the words that I've just written down, like warmth makes me think of the sun and lines that are radiating. So maybe two people, family that love each other, that warmth radiating out of both of them. I don't know, let's give it a try. So I might draw just a simple person, two people, and the love that kind of radiates out from them. Okay, or maybe I could just draw a sun. That warmth. I could go beyond that, of course, too, and draw maybe two people hugging each other, that sense of comfort, or like a mother and child. So that's just to get you thinking about how you might represent a concept, sometimes abstract concepts, with images. So your assignment today is you're going to get a piece of paper that looks kind of like this, And there's a Post-it note for each word. You'll have 4 words. The first word is peace. So what your teacher is going to do is set a timer for about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So what you'll do on that Post-it note is you're going to draw a representation of what peace is to you. So kind of like the process I just showed you, you might want to flip your paper over and spend some time in prayer and journaling out what the definition of peace is. How might you describe it? Write a few words down, just kind of journal some things, and then from that definition, ask God to give you a picture in your head that you can draw here. Now, yours might look very abstract. You can use a series of shapes and lines. We don't really have color for this because the Post-it note is a color, but by the end of 5 minutes, try to have some kind of an image in that Post-it note. And as tempted as you might be, don't look around for what everyone else is doing. This is what's personal to you, and you're trying to represent and symbolize that word on your own. Okay? So then after the 5 minutes are up and you've got that Post-it note, what your teacher is going to do is have you put all of everyone's in the class together, and you'll see if there's any similarities or differences between how all of you have represented that word. So after you've completed the first one, which is peace, what your teacher will have you do is come up with your Post-it note, take it off of the paper, and stick it in the column that she's written on the board under the word peace. And everyone's will go up here on the board. And then what I want you to do is kind of look over everyone's on the board and see if there's any similarities that you notice. Are there certain line qualities that are very similar? Do a lot of students use the same kind of shapes or symbols, things like that? Look at the similarities, and then you can go back to your table and continue the process with the next 3, and then come up and put them on the board and see how everyone's is either similar or different from each other. Because I think what you'll notice is a lot of people do see things in a similar way, and we can represent them in similar ways as well. But there are differences that will arise too. At the end of class then, you'll want to please come back up, take all of your Post-it notes, hopefully they'll still have sticky on the back, and put them back on your paper because your teacher will collect these. So now that you've completed this activity, if there's time left in class, what I want you to do is spend some quiet time in prayer and ask God if there's a word or a theme that He's been trying to show you in the last few months. For some of you, maybe there's a song lyric that just kind of keeps coming up, or a verse. Sometimes I'll read a verse in the Bible and then it starts popping up in other areas of my life. Like maybe the pastor will talk about it on Sunday, or I'll hear about it on the radio. Ask God to bring to mind a word, phrase, verse, or theme that maybe He's been trying to teach you lately. So with that word or theme in mind, like personally, I, this last year, have really been feeling like God has been growing my understanding of grace and really trying to help me experience more wonder and awe towards His creation. So using those words and phrases, I want you then to come up with a visual representation of it. So just like the process we did, ask Him to bring some pictures to mind and just doodle out what you feel like God has been showing you through that word or phrase.